Hi everybody, so this is the second installment on how to make a corset. In this video I'm going to be talking about how to put in grommets. So basically, what is a grommet? You can see I have some grommets already set in this corset here, and what the grommets are, they're little metal rings that fit into the holes that you make, and what this does, it protects your corset from fraying or breaking when you go to pull these laces tight. So what I like to do generally is to sandwich these grommets between two bones. So on the very edge I have a 1/2 inch spring steel bone, and on the other side I have a 1/4 inch spring steel bone, and what that does, it protects the grommets from pulling out when I go to tighten the corset. So what is a grommet before you put it into a corset? It looks like this if you look at it head on. I hope you can see that. So this is a size 00 grommet, so it has an inside diameter of 3/16 of an inch. If you have a size 0, just 10 grommet, then it's going to be a little bit larger. It's going to have an inside diameter of a 1/4 inch. When you put it on the side here, I hope you can see this. I have kind of chubby fingers, but you'll be able to see a bit of a shaft. And what happens is when you put the washer on the back of this, pretend that I'm squeezing some fabric between the top part of the grommet and the bottom part. Then when you flatten this, then you're actually going to have metal on both the top side and the underside of your corset. So both sides are going to be protected from fraying. So this is a grommet. It always has two parts to it. Now an eyelet, you're probably not going to be able to see this very clearly, but an eyelet, it often comes in only one piece. It doesn't have the washer included, and it will have little ridges or scrapes, almost serrated. What this does is when you go to flatten this in the corset, then those little pieces are going to splay apart, and it will look almost like flower petals, and so those little pieces are going to hug the back side of the corset, and that's all that's protecting the back of it. I prefer not to use the one-piece eyelets because those little metal pieces that splay out, they tend to catch the laces and fray them, so I don't really like those. Two-part eyelets I find generally to be, sorry my hair is bothering me, to be synonymous with grommets. I have honestly never found a difference. If anybody else has more insight on that, I'd be very happy to know. So unless you have specific lacing bones, once again you want to sandwich your grommets between two normal bones when you're putting them in. So ways to poke holes into your corset. Unless you have self-piercing eyelets, you need to put holes in your corset before you actually put the grommets in. So one way to do it is, I have this kit here, 500 grommets for about $30. I got that at just the local dressmaking shop. And what I do, it comes with dies, exchangeable dies, and this sort of looks like the same hole punch you would get to punch paper. You put it in here, and you're going to sandwich the corset fabric in between the two dies, put it on a solid surface, and hit it a few times with the hammer. That's going to cut a hole in it, but what I found, I don't really like to use these dies. I don't like to cut the holes because I find that weakens the fabric and the grommets are likely to rip out. If you find that happens to you, you can always hit it with some fray stop to prevent any of the holes from fraying even more. But what I like to do instead is just poke a small hole where I want the grommet to go and gently work my way through to widen that hole and stretch it as opposed to breaking the fibers. So to poke a hole, I can start it by just using a seam ripper like this, and then I can go in and widen it. And I've used crazy things, you guys. I've used forks like this to widen the holes. I've used meat thermometers, I've used chopsticks, I've used all sorts of things, but the best thing to use is a real awl. So if you don't have a fabric store nearby, you can get a scratch awl at any sort of hardware store, like Home Depot, Home Hardware, Lowe's, anything like that. This is usually used for starting holes in wood or metal or something like that, but it will suffice. And what it is, it's very small and pointy on one side, and as you go further down, then the diameter gets larger, so it's going to gently stretch open the hole. Now, if you are living close to a fabric store, then this is the Clover brand tailor's awl. It's very sharp. This will stretch you a hole in 2 seconds flat. I have never found anything better than this. I absolutely love it. So once you have that, then you're ready to actually set the grommet. So what you can do is you can buy one of these squeezy plier things like this, and use your hands to gently flatten the grommet on both sides of the hole. I find this hurts my hands, so what I do is I actually use the hammer method like this. So like I said, with the kit I had found, it comes with the little squeezy stapler thing, and I put the dies in, and you don't have to worry about matching sizes or anything like that, because when you buy the kit, the dies will match the sizes of the grommets that you have. And I put the washer on the bottom, thread it through that little bump there. The top of this this grommet is going to go through the hole that you had just made in your corset, and then you're going to squeeze the layers of the corset between this, put it on a solid surface, and hit it maybe 5 or 6 times with the hammer. I definitely recommend investing in a rubber mallet instead of using a metal hammer, because the rubber, it tends to distribute the pressure a lot more evenly, so you're not going to get broken grommets or anything like that. I got this at the dollar store. It's not a huge investment. I also recommend doing this outside, or on cement or something. If you live in an apartment, it's probably not a good idea. You might want to use the squeezy thing, or spend $75 on one of those manual presses. But this is the way to make a corset on a budget, so I'm going to use the hammer method. But I think that's about it. If you have any questions, please leave me a comment. Other than that, I will get back to you in a few days. So I'll talk to you next time. Bye guys.